Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I am Tim Hollenden with eXp Realty and a co-founder of the Freedom Team at eXp, a 3,000 agent organization within eXp. And I'm so excited to have my dear friend Jeff Morrell on the show today. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning. Thanks for
I
having me
guess it's
on.
it's morning where you are. It's afternoon here. It's
Yeah,
12:02
it's
Mountain
10,
Time.
10 o'clock here.
Yeah.
So you
Sorry I got you up
got
so
me out of
early.
bed for this one, Tim. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. And so everybody knows this is my very first podcast on StreamYard. So if I screw up, I apologize in advance. Be nice, be
You're
easy
good.
on me. But
You're good. You're good. Thanks for
Jeff,
having me on. Your first one. All these people you could have picked. All these people you could have picked, and you
I
picked me
know.
to be your first guest.
Yep, absolutely. But obviously, you and I go back 4.5 years now since we
Uh-huh.
both joined EXP. Didn't know each other prior to that, but I love your story. If you would just kind of go back to as far as you want. You can go back to theater and Indiana, all that if you want, or you can
All the
start with
back
real
in the
estate.
day.
You've
Yeah,
got an
no.
exciting story, and I'm sure our viewers will be glad to see it and listen to it.
Yeah, no, well, I appreciate it. And again, I appreciate you having me on. No, I think, my story, I think the underlying theme to my story is I've just never been afraid to try stuff. If I go back to, I'm back in Indiana where I was born and raised. And, I went to Butler University, went to college there, had a track scholarship going to college. I was fast back in the day. I
And
can't
still
run
a
anymore.
record holder, if I
I,
recall.
I still hold my high school record.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a guy though. He's a freshman, and I saw this year he was like he missed my record by like 3/10 of a second or something. I'm like, okay, that's the guy that's going to give. I could go back and I should go back and break his legs like the skating thing. So no, I'm kidding. But anyway, I hope he does it. It's been there for a long time. But no, went to Butler University my senior year. There's a film crew that comes to town, and they're filming the movie Hoosiers. Gene Hackman, Dennis Hopper, basketball movie, and they came to the radio TV department. I was doing TV news back there in Indianapolis, and my senior year is pretty loose, whatever. I was working there at the CBS station, and they came in and said, "Hey, the radio TV department, we're coming in, we're making this movie, we need help, a lot of crowd scenes. Here's the number. If you want to work with us, you're hired." And I'd always loved the movie since I was, whatever, 5 years old. I can go clear back thinking, and so anyway, about 10 of us, we jumped on it. I had time to do it. It was going to be fun, whatever. And so I worked on that movie. The assistant director on that movie, was like, "Hey, you guys have been great. We wrapped, we're done. You guys have been great. You ever want to come to California? I'll put you to work." Well, that went in one ear and out the other, to be honest. I mean, at the time, because I'm from Indiana, this is 1986. There's no internet, there's no cell phone. Like California from Indiana, small town Indiana, like that's another planet. Like, no, who does
Wow.
that? Goes and works in the film business. Well, it came down to it. We're graduating. A buddy of mine had friends in California, went out there for spring break. We come back from spring break. We're sitting in our first night class that night, and he had gone to California, and we just sat there and talked California for 3 hours, and we were like, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. I went back to my room after that class, and I called, the director from Hoosiers, and just, "Hey, were you serious? I mean, if we come out there, were you serious? Can we get work?" He's like, "Yeah, get out of here. I'll put you to work." And so we graduated June 10th, 1986. I remember this. We got in the car. I had $800 to my name. I'm thinking, I'm rich. That's not even a down payment on an apartment in
Yeah.
California, even back then. Oh my goodness, that money went so fast. But we drive nonstop to California, three of us, and yeah. And I think back in the day, I remember like my dad was like, what's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're an idiot. Like, you just graduated from college, you're Mr. Hollywood now, going to grow up Mr. Big Shot, whatever. But it just put a fire into me, that, and some of my high school friends that were just, I felt like just more in the box kind of thing. I've always been just out of the box, and so I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And so I went to California, and just to honestly, I think it put a fire into me to prove them wrong. Don't tell me I can't do something. And within 6 months, I was making $1,000 a day as an assistant director in the film business. And
Wow.
so worked in there for about 9-10 years. Lots of stories, lots of experiences, but met my wife actually at a church I started going to. Became a Christian in 1992. We got married. The church I was part of was growing, just a non-denominational Christian church out there. They asked us to come on staff. They needed help. And so I went from making $1,000 a day in the film business to making about $2,000 a month in ministry. And it wasn't about the money. Love working with people, and so did that for, I don't know, 7-8 years. we have two daughters. They were 4 and 1, and we decided it's time to make a move. We had no family in LA. We wanted to get the kids closer to grandparents, cousins, that kind of stuff, family. Well, my family's in Indiana. My wife's family was here in Colorado. We'd visited, Colorado, loved it. And so 1999, December, we moved to Colorado Springs. And my father-in-law was here. He's a real estate developer. Had no idea what I was going to do here when I got here. It was kind of just a leap of faith coming, but started working with him in real estate development. January 2002, got my license to do residential sales, and just kind of took off from there as far as that, got plugged into a really good coaching program. My first year, about 6 months into it, I went to a conference, Craig Proctor. So a lot of people listening to this maybe have heard of Craig. At the time, Craig was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world out of Toronto, Canada. Yeah. And I bought into a website system that was part of his deal, and went to his seminar in Phoenix in June, and I'm around all these guys, they're like these top agents from all over the place. And I learned a long time ago, you become who you hang around, and I want to be around these guys. I'm like, I'm brand new in this. I'm trying to figure it out. How when you first get your license, they teach you everything in real estate school except how to do real estate. So I'm trying to figure all that out. And I'm like, I got to be part of this coaching program. They were pushing that because I need to be around these guys. Right. Well, it's 14 grand, put it on a credit card. Didn't tell my wife for 6 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me. She's going to absolutely kill me. But I knew it would work, And I ended up doing about 32 deals my first year, primarily because of that program. The marketing, everything that went on with that, having that weekly accountability, that weekly coach, that guidance, whatever, just doing what they told me to do, plugging into that system. I'm good at following systems. And, did 32 deals my first year. Did about 50 my second, did 72 my third. And at that point now, my wife is helping me a ton, even though she's not licensed. We're trading off with the kids and whatever. She's helping me. I'm busier than, a one-arm paper hanger, a wallpaper hanger. I mean, I couldn't keep it straight. And so anyway, she got her license 2005. So my third year in, she was licensed. And now we went to Keller Williams and we started building a team over there. Small team, 5 or 6 agents, but within several months, I mean, we had it up and running. We had the #1 Keller Williams team here in town. That's awesome. For several years. And it was all good. I mean, I love being there. It was a great company. No issues with Keller Williams at all. I left there in 2010 just because financially I was just looking at it and it just didn't make sense for me to be there. I was not using anything that they offered. They have great tools and all that stuff, but I wasn't using them. And I'm like, I'm paying all this money to be there. And what am I getting for my money? I mean, at that point, like nothing. So I ended up leaving there thinking there's got to be a better way to do this. Went back to an independent company, which was basically a 100% deal, $50 a month, $300 transaction fee. I was there for, 7 years, figured I would ride out my whole career there. Mm-hmm. Buddy of mine, Sean Sturrock, I've known Sean for 11 years now. He calls me up 4.5 years ago. Hey, would you take a look at this thing, eXp? I'm like, EX what? EX who? Like, I'll look. If somebody called me today to look at something, I'd go look at it. And I would tell everybody on here, like, go look. You have no idea you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. I've always been open to looking. I've never been afraid to just at least look at something. No harm in that. But I told Sean, there's no way I'm moving. I've been there, done that, the big companies, whatever it is, I'll definitely look at it, but but definitely don't count on me making a move. I'm not going to do it. Right. And a week later we moved and it made too much sense to me. We've been here 4.5 years and without question, the absolute best business decision I've ever made in my entire life was making the move over here, which doesn't make sense to a lot of people, the ones who have never looked at this, it makes no sense whatsoever, so
like you said, anyway. They don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
I was the same way. I was never leaving RE/MAX. 3-time diamond at RE/MAX, just loving life and similar story, but sorry. And we joined about the same time, really. I'm April of 2018. I think you were February, March?
February 2018.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple months before I did.
Yeah.
So going back to your real estate journey, if you could change one thing as a new agent, what would that be?
As a new agent, I think, I would have gotten out there quicker where the people are, like talk to more people. I mean, I learned that, especially in Craig's program. I mean, at first, the office that I was at to begin with, my broker that I went to work with, good friend of mine, him and his wife, I didn't interview anywhere. I just went straight to work with him. He kind of talked me into get my license. Hey, you'd be great at this. So I went to work with him. He had bought a house downtown Colorado Springs, and that had turned it into an office. There's no signage out front. Nobody knew it was an office. And again, I'm figuring it out. And he was great. I mean, he taught me a bunch of things there at the beginning, but I'm in the office every day. I was there for a few months. And I realized, like, wait a minute, like, what am I doing? Like nobody's ever kind of come walking into this office like, hey, I need a realtor, And I remember, being out one day, I was at a Starbucks and realized, took my laptop and went over there. Everything I was doing in the office, I could do out on my laptop. And so just being out there where the people are, and then, listening for conversations and just intentionally going up and introducing myself. I mean, it took a little nerve to do that, but once you do it a few times, like anything, it gets easier the more you do it. And so I found myself just landing at this Starbucks like every single day. The people behind the counter knew me. They've all got my cards. They know I'm in real estate. Hey, if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, man, I'm your guy. Whatever. And I would just meet these people. But I remember like sitting there and overhearing some, here's two moms and their kids, and the moms are drinking coffee and catching up. The kids are goofing around, whatever. And you'll hear these kind of conversations. Oh my God, if we don't get more space, I'm going to kill myself. Like, just we're outgrowing our, go over, talk to those people. Hey, not trying to intrude. Don't mean to eavesdrop at all. I heard you guys talking about, you're running out of room. I get it. I've been there. Like, here's my business card. I'm a realtor. If I can help you in any way at all, or if you know anybody looking to make a move, man, I'd love to have the opportunity to at least talk to them, and by doing that right there, that's actually how I picked up my very first deal. It was from a Starbucks, from somebody I didn't know. I gave them a card, and that night I got a call from a guy in the military, him and his wife, and they're getting transferred out of here to a place in Utah, over in Salt Lake City, somewhere over there, military, and they needed somebody to sell their house. And so, I went in there. Yeah. So my first listing, which by the way, I put the sign in front of the wrong house. My first listing. That's oh my God. It was one of those cookie cutter neighborhoods. I remember it was like January, February. It was dark at like 5:30. I'm over there at 6, pounding the sign in the ground and whatever. And went up to the front door, knocked on the door, and this little Japanese lady opens the door, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry, I'm at the wrong house. Like, oh gosh darn. Next door. So, anyway, live and learn. Glad I went to the door.
Yeah, exactly.
The husband leaves the next morning. Hey, honey, is there something we need to talk about? Are you selling the house? What is there something I don't know here? Anyway, but yeah.
So did you start a team right away, or did you start as an individual agent originally?
No, I was individual for my first 3 years. It was my 4th year in that when my wife got her license, she hired an assistant for us, which was a huge move, great move. And then from there, we started building the team. I think at the beginning, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you're trying to figure it all out. I wasn't ready for that, but yes, we started building the team in year 4.
Did she put the assistant on a credit card too and not tell you about it for months?
She didn't tell me about it. It may.
I thought
seriously, I remember when she told me, like, hey, I ran an ad for, I'm like, you did what? Like, oh my God, what, $2,000 a month or whatever it's going to be or whatever. And I'm started thinking like, oh no. But again, best thing we ever did. And that was the other thing too. I think eventually for people, at first you can do everything, you can handle everything. And, I remember, we're sending out newsletters back in the day, and we'd have an assembly line on our dining room table, with the kids involved, and, whatever, this one's folding it, this one's putting it in the envelope. My wife's writing on it, handwriting, because she's got good writing. She's writing out the addresses, and I'm licking them, stamping them, whatever, putting them in the box, just keeping the thing moving. And that's how we did it back in the day. Well, then I realized, like, okay, like, how much are you worth? I learned that from Craig Proctor. It's like, there's certain things, like, if you can't change the outcome, you can hire somebody to probably take that. And it might be a $10, $12, $15 an hour job, and that's somebody you can hire somebody for, because your time is worth so much more. I remember at one of the conferences, and just to share this, Brian Moses, who's actually now part of eXp, big coach. He was like number 1, number 2 Coldwell Banker for years. I mean, just did some big stuff at Coldwell Banker. And, but he was kind of Craig's right-hand guy. And I remember, him telling the story how it was a Saturday and Craig had called him, and Brian's not available because he's out mowing the yard. He comes in a couple hours later, and Craig, he calls Craig back, like, Brian, what are you doing? He's like, like, it's the weekend, this is great time with your kids, with your boys, with your family. Why are you mowing the yard? He's like, well, I got to mow the yard. Somebody's got to mow the yard. He's like, yeah, but you can hire that out for get a neighborhood kid to come over and do it for 25, 30 bucks, whatever, and take that
Yeah.
time, those 2 hours. You're worth, how much are you worth? How much is your time worth? And, when you figure that out, and if anybody's ever done that, if a new agent watching this, you've been in the business a couple of years, figure out like, okay, how much work am I putting in every week, with your business? And it might be, I don't know, maybe you're working, 60 hours a week or whatever it is, Monday through Sunday, whatever it is. And then here's how I had 3 closings. I got paid this much. I made $20,000 this month divided by the number of hours that you work that month. And there's your hourly pay. And it's probably more than $10 or $15 an hour. You get up to a point where it's $100, $200, $300 an hour. Is it worth my time to, take 2 hours and mow my yard when I could hire that out and get time with my family, which is way more important, and
Right.
certain things you can do, and you can start delegating things in your business with an assistant like that. And that's huge, when I learned that. So yeah, my wife did that all without me knowing. And at first I'm like, oh my God, you did what? And it was the best thing we ever did.
Hell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Exactly.
You talk about the kids at the dining room table and all that similar experience. My kids used to help me on the 4th of July weekend and all the major, Memorial Day, Labor Day. We put those flags on those sticks, and then we'd ride around the neighborhood and stick them in by all the mailboxes and
business card on there, whatever.
Delivered refrigerator magnet calendars to the neighborhoods that we used to market in, geo farming. And
sure.
Back to the assistant though, I coached with Tom Ferry's organization. And Tom used to always say, Tim, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And that struck me. And I tell you, same experience with me. And one of the best decisions I made in my real estate career was go ahead and hire an assistant. And it scared me to death. 25, 30, 35,000. I don't even remember what it was way back then, 20 years ago. But my business doubled the very next year.
Absolutely. It frees you up,
Yeah. For our viewers out there, if you're thinking about that, and if you do it, just make sure you replace your personal time with other money-making activities. Yeah. I got to be belly to belly with buyers, with sellers, negotiating contracts, don't hang on to some of those things, or don't just take the rest of your free time off that you've just saved by hiring an assistant. You've got to put that free time back to sales use. But
absolutely. And I think if I could add one thing, I think it is important somehow in there, definitely. And again, early on, I think it's out of balance. It's going to be out of balance, especially at the beginning. You're building a business, and you've got to put in the sacrifice and the hours, and you got to have the discipline to do that. I do see that with a lot of agents. There's that mistake where, I think, I'm my own boss. I can set my own schedule. Here's why so many people get into real estate. I can run my life and all that kind of stuff. Well, next thing you know, it's like, sleep until 10. Get up, have breakfast, I don't know, catch up on scrolling through Facebook and social media and all this stuff. Next thing you know, it's 11. Now I'm got to go to the gym, got to get my workout in, come back and, and take a shower, clean up. Now it's 12:30. I got to have lunch. It's lunchtime. Got to have my lunch. And next thing you know, it's like 1:00, 1:30 before you even start your day. Yeah. And then it's like, 4:00, whatever. I'm meeting some friends for happy hour, whatever, about 4:30, I got to take off for that. And then, now it's dinner time, and now I'm going to go hang out and go to a movie. Yeah. So I put it, and now you wonder why your business isn't working. No. It's going to be out of balance at first. I mean, you got to do that at the beginning, especially.
You really
and,
do.
But I think too, it's important as you start building that, and let's say you hire an assistant, and then if you start building a team and different things, at some point, make sure along the way, if you have kids, if you're married, like, don't sacrifice all that at the end of it all. And I see that so much in this business. I made that mistake early on. My wife and kids paid a price, at times. And if I could go back and change anything, I would make sure that I really truly had them probably as more of a priority back in the day. I mean, they were very understanding, were they very gracious about it, whatever, but there's definitely some times there where it's like, wow, it was out of whack, not in a good way. I would get more time with my kids. I remember some Sunday afternoons, I'm in the park with the kids. I'm trying to take that day off, or just at least some time, and the phone rings, and you don't answer it because I'm playing in the park with my kids.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. Rings again. Yeah. And it'll ring again and ring again. All of a sudden 3 rings in a row or something, same number. It's like, oh my gosh, so I answered it. And sure enough, and I've had that happen where it's a buyer and they're sitting out in front of a house and they want to see it right now. Well, I'm in the park with my kids, whatever. I could definitely meet you there tomorrow, or, you wrestle with that. Like, that could be a $20,000 afternoon with your kids, They might have a house to sell. They might, I mean, who knows what that could turn into? And you wrestle with that. And I think it's just,
Mhm.
it's a hard thing about this business, but I remember eventually building a team, thinking I would get more leverage, and I did to a degree, but not to what I was hoping it would be by any
Right.
means.
Yeah,
I
I
got
did
busier
the
than
same
ever.
thing.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked all around it, and you may have already answered the question before I even asked it, but was that the most difficult part of being a solo agent is just that work-life balance, that family, and, being on the beach and you got your laptop, not really present.
That
What
absolutely.
was the decision that took you from independent agent to a team leader?
Well, and again, my third year, 72 deals. My wife was helping me again, but she's not licensed. She was probably doing things she shouldn't be doing. I mean, I was having to send her out to, she's unlocking a house for the inspector, and I'm on my way following up behind. And she was helping me a ton. I mean, and doing some different things. So she got licensed, but yeah, that third year, I mean, it was more than I could handle. I mean, I was dropping balls and missing deadlines, and got my way through it. I remember having to buy a refrigerator one time for some clients because I missed it in the contract. Just silly mistakes that you start making, you learn from them. But it's like, oh my gosh, it's just there's not an hour left in the day, and I'm working 7 days a week, 90 hours a week, and I have no life. And this is not why I got into this business. Like, what am I doing? So we hire the assistant, she gets licensed, we start bringing on agents to build the team, and so but yeah, I remember that. I remember taking the kids to Disney World. They were 8, let's see, 10 and 8, and we go to Disney World. We're there for 10 days. They had the time of their life. I mean, they had a great time. It was a great vacation, and took our time down there, whatever. But I do remember 4 days, sending my wife to the park with the kids. I'll call you when I get there, because where's dad? In the hotel room on my laptop, dealing with real estate till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, putting out fires back here, putting out fires with my team, thinking I'm leveraged.
Yeah.
But now I've got, we got 4 times the number of deals. I got phones going like this and whatever. I'm like, I'm not on vacation. I moved my office to Orlando. I mean, I'm glad that I can do that. It's nice to get away, but wouldn't you rather just really be on vacation? Wouldn't you rather really just be shutting it down? I hate those pictures on
Yeah.
Facebook, whatever. Here's the feet, with the beach, and there's the ocean, and there's the sand, and the feet with the laptop on the lap. Here's my office for today. I'm like, oh, come on. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice that we could do it. I get it. But at the same time, you'd rather have a margarita with an umbrella drink in your hand,
Yeah.
not
And
your
be out there
laptop.
building the sandcastle with your kids.
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
watching them from afar.
Totally. It's nice to get away, but man, it can be stressful as well. And so that's the thing I think I love about being here,
Yeah.
is I feel like we've figured out a way over a period of time to really truly make that leverage idea work
Mhm.
for the first time ever. Truly
That's
work.
great segue. That was actually my next question. I know you did independent for a while, and then you did KW, if I remember the chronology correctly,
Right.
and then you were with a 100% firm, and then eXp.
Right.
What problems has eXp solved for you as a business owner, as a real estate agent?
Sure.
And are you still running a team, or is your wife kind of doing that, or is it just
We
you?
we don't have a traditional team. My wife is primarily handling our deals. I mean, I've jumped in, and I'll jump in where I need my help. In fact, this afternoon we're going over to look at a house. I'm going with her to do some stuff with this seller, whatever. So we're still doing deals. We did 42 deals last year, so still very active in production, whatever. But pulling back on that as well.
Mhm.
We're doing
Purpose.
less this year on purpose. Yeah, because we can afford to with this model.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the thing that what this has done is it's given me my time back. I mean, now when we leave, like, we can shut it off. Like, we can truly shut it off.
Yeah.
We've got people to help us if there's some deals in place and that kind of stuff. We got people here that can handle that. We
Mhm.
might have to make a couple phone calls possibly, but we can really truly shut it off. And I think that's the option that we've been able to take advantage of here at eXp because of this model. As owners of the company, we get stock bonuses here. As owners of the company, we can share in the revenues coming to the company, just like the broker of everybody out there who's listening to this. The more agents they bring in, the more closings there are, the more money the broker makes, the more money the franchise makes, the more everybody up at the top gets paid, all this kind of stuff. The last one to get paid, unfortunately, is the agent who's out there hustling, grinding, doing all the work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, we're owners. So, as an owner, if I want to help build the company, just like a broker owner would, I can share in the revenues coming with the company, and that revenue share combined with our stock, whatever, like it's more than enough to cover our bills. And, yeah, if I want to take a month off, I can do it. My wife, we can do it,
Yeah.
and so to have that freedom, like I've never seen that before. So, I'm working there with you. We come up with this idea freedom team. Like
Mhm.
that wasn't just a let's draw a name out of a hat. Like there was some real thought going into the name of that team, because I think it's
Absolutely.
something we all think we're getting when we get into real estate, but it really doesn't. That's a mirage out there in the desert. It's not really there in this
Right.
business. And I think with what we're doing here at EXP, and we're helping people really truly find freedom, like real freedom, time freedom, money freedom, freedom to go where you want, live where you want,
Yeah.
and
Location
still
freedom.
location freedom. Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally. So it's just, I've never seen that before in any other model, and it exists here.
Right.
So we're growing like crazy. I love this thing. I love what we're doing here. I really do.
Yeah. It's clear, in my opinion, it is the best real estate model on the planet, bar none.
Bar none.
And I didn't even want to look at it 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, that was
But
me.
you
Yeah,
know what? I don't know what I don't know. I need to have an open mind. You never know. And wow,
sure, sure.
they say once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I couldn't. I spent 60 days looking at the model, trying to find the holes in it, and couldn't. Then I brought my whole team. But
Yeah,
well, I
yeah,
want to start wrapping this up.
sure.
At any point, did you feel stuck in your business?
Yeah. I mean, my team, again, here we are, we're doing 180, 200 homes a year
Yep.
deals. And oh God, I remember that feeling every, Christmas time. I'm taking Christmas off. I'm going to take the week after Christmas, off. Well, inevitably my phone would just, December 26th, it's ringing off the hook. That pent up demand that had built up over December, people not looking at homes, and now they all want to get out and start going again. So, it was never a week off. We're going, going, going. But then January would hit. And I just remember that feeling in January, especially, of being stuck, because, oh my God, like where am I at in January 1st? Right back at zero. Got to do it all over again.
Yep.
Now in the meantime, I mean, up here on the shelf, and you can't see it, it's right up there. There are some like trophies and plaques and different things from Keller Williams, different things I've done, number one, this, top 10, this, whatever, all these different awards and things. But they're up there collecting dust. I mean, it's just, it's great. I'm proud of the production that we did, but at the end of it all, January 1st, I'm right back at zero. It felt like a hamster wheel. So yeah,
Mhm.
if I ever felt stuck, I think it was like at the beginning of every year, like, my God, here we go again. Like,
Yeah.
how long can I do this? This is killing me. The fun was out of it for me. The burnout definitely hit.
Yeah.
It felt like a grind, and oh gosh, I hated that feeling. I mean, hated that feeling. So yeah, there was definitely that. And I think that's the thing here. I think, I remember the very first like event that I went to with EXP, and there's a big banner up on the wall. It says, EXP making real estate fun again.
Hmm.
And that's the honest to God's truth. Like, I love what we're doing. Like I've had more fun in the last 4 years, without question, being at EXP than I've had my entire 20-year career,
Yeah.
which
I
seems
have
really
too.
weird. Well, you're a virtual brokerage. Like how's that work? Like, I'm just telling you, I've got more relationships, more friends. We are doing more things, having more life than I've had my 20 years being in this business. And it's because of this model and what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I tell people, you're a perfect example. We didn't know each other before EXP. And some
Yeah.
of my very best friends today, I didn't know 4.5 years ago prior to EXP. I mean, that's the kind of impact many, many men and women both have made on my life at EXP. It's just been a phenomenal
Absolutely.
experience. Final question, I'll let you go. We
Sure.
are not in a recession, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your take on that. And I'd love to
Mhm.
hear sort of what you see is going on with this market correcting.
Right.
And what advice would you leave the agents that are listening in, watching today? What would you do if you
Sure.
were 100% still in production?
Absolutely. I think right now it's a time to dive in deep, learn more skills, hone in your skills, as much education as you possibly can. I think the newer agents from the last couple of years, it's like, don't panic. Like, I feel, you look at our numbers, we're kind of like, for us here in Colorado Springs, we're kind of back at around like the 2015, 2016 numbers, which were decent years in real estate. They were good years,
Yeah.
we're not back at, this isn't 2008 all over again.
Yeah.
At least I don't see that happening right now at all. I'll be very surprised if we get to that point, but I think it's a time, you like, for newer agents, you got to learn how to have conversations with your clients. The last couple of years, we haven't had to do that. You go meet a seller, they hire you, you put a sign in the yard. The next conversation you're having is, you're under contract, basically. Like, that's the next. Well, now you got to learn how to have conversations about marketing and conversations about price, improvements. I don't say price reduction, price improvements.
I never did either.
Yeah. You got to learn to have those conversations, and they can be hard conversations sometimes because the public doesn't understand all of what's going on. We need to lead the way in learning what we need to learn to help them understand it. So you got to educate the buyers and sellers right now, and you've got to. So it's a time to hone in on skills. It's a time to buckle down a little bit. I would tighten up expenses a little bit, figure out there's a lot of fluff out there. It's real easy to all of a sudden look at your monthly bills going out. Here's these automated things that are going out, $25 here and $40 here and $100 for this and that. And it's all these different systems and tools and things and whatever. And there's some that are really good. And there's some you're like, what the heck is this? I haven't used this in 6 months. Well, knock that one out. You don't need that $30 a month thing. They all add up after a while. It's easy to get there in this business. All the stuff we get calls on and people want to sell us tools and systems and things. And so kind of buckle up a little bit, be smart with it, but don't panic, like, lead the way in educating yourself and educating the clients on really what's going on. It's going back to more of a normal market. I mean, to some degree. When I first got in, 2002, I remember my first few years, average days on the market here, 40, 45, 50 days. That's just what it was.
Us too.
Interest rates, 6%, 7%. First house I bought, like 6.75%. We were thrilled with that, And so it's just, we're kind of going back to a little bit more normal in that sense, in terms of days on market, inventory of homes. It's still leaning in the seller's direction, for the most part, from everything I've seen really across the country. A 6-month supply of homes is kind of a balance point, is what I've learned. Whatever, we're nowhere near that right now. No, we got maybe a month and a half or something here,
I would agree.
It still favors the sellers. So anyway, but buyers have more options. You're not going to be competing with as many offers. You might not be competing at all. But if it's priced right, it will sell. You might be competing with 1 or 2, not 10.
Right.
Like what we saw, 6 months ago. So anyway,
that's a lot more fun for the buyers and a lot more fun for the agents. And we definitely need that balance. I always tell people, and I've been through several market corrections. The pendulum on the clock swings both ways. You're way over here, and then it's got to come back this way, and that's where it is. Right. We want to just stay as close to middle as we can, but right now we're on one side of the pendulum swing, and 2 years ago we were on the other side of it.
One thing I want to add, I think, especially for the newer agents that are listening to this, again, that whole idea of honing in on your skills. The bad agents, the weak agents, they will be leaving the business, and we're seeing that. They're shutting down. They're different things, and that's fine. That's fine. They need to be out of the business. There's some agents that probably shouldn't have been in the business. You're going to see that the entryway into this business can be pretty easy depending on the state and where you're at, whatever. But, it is now it's time we have to work it. Now's the time to go to work. But here's the thing I want to say. You're competing. Let's say now you're going to start competing with other agents for listings and for buyers. Sellers are going to start interviewing more agents, in this kind of market. They're not just going to pick an agent. You might be friends with that buyer. You might go to church together, different things, whatever, but they're probably going to start interviewing people when it comes time to sell. You're going to be competing against good agents. So you can't just go in there and just, flippantly think that you're just going to get the deal, and you're not prepared for that presentation and you're really showing them what you do and all that kind of stuff, and being able to answer their questions and have that dialogue. You've got to hone in on those skills, or you will get, you'll have to learn the hard way. And wow, there's a listing I thought I had in my back pocket and it went to somebody else. Or a buyer working with somebody else, same kind of thing. So, the bad agents are going to be weeded out. You're going to be competing with better agents. And
Right.
so I would just tell you, so again, just the idea of really getting better at what you do, be a pro. We got to be pros in this. I think
Exactly.
there's too many people that aren't pros, which ends up giving us all a bad name.
Yeah.
So, be a pro in this business. There's lots of ways to do that. And, the public needs us. I mean, they really do. Sometimes they don't think they do, but
Mhm.
they do. I mean, we're handling a lot of how many deals have you kept together over the years? The sellers had no idea what was going on, but you're on the phone at 10 o'clock at night dealing with something that's
Right.
moving that deal forward. I mean, it happens to every agent if you're a good agent.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah.
Well, that's such great advice. And, coming through the 07, 08 recession that I did, my business grew every year through the recession.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my secret sauce was double down on your marketing, especially any marketing you can do for free. Get belly to belly with people, like you were saying, keep in contacts with your past clients, your sphere of influence, your family, your friends. Make sure everybody knows you're in real estate.
Yep.
Because the alternative, and this is what I saw, a lot of agents in a recession will sit on the sidelines and complain about how bad the market is and not do anything at all. That's their excuse not to work, so to speak. But being a pro, great analogy. I appreciate that. Any final comments, and we'll wrap up.
No, I appreciate you being here. I would just tell anybody out there that's, seeing this. I know you're hearing about eXp. If you haven't actually sat down and seen a presentation, if you haven't had that presentation personalized for you with your business, your numbers, the way you run things, like whatever, like get that done, get to the right person. Even if you saw it before and you watched a 10-minute video online or something, or somebody reached out to you, there's people out there doing it wrong, unfortunately. I mean, and there's a lot of hearsay out there. And I get it. There's all these companies that are losing business, losing agents, that kind of stuff in this market, especially. And there's a lot of stuff out there, misinformation out there. I would just tell, anybody on here, if you know Tim and you haven't seen eXp, call Tim, get a hold of Tim. Tim, just show me how this works. I know you're not going to hard sell him into this thing. You're not going to push him in. I'm not going to do that either. But my thing is just look at it, because you don't know what you don't know. Look at it, really, truly evaluate it for yourself, and then make a decision. If it's for me, great. If it's not for you, great. At least you know what you're saying no to, because right now there's a lot of people that they don't know what they're saying no to. Yeah. They're just going on what they've heard somebody else say, or, well, this guy was there and he left, and, whatever. And so I'm not going to go. It's going to happen all the time, whatever, different things. Go look at it for yourself. Let Tim or I evaluate it with you and for you, help give you the right information so you can just make a wise decision for yourself, whatever that is. We're good with whatever it is, but you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. You owe it to your team. You owe it to your brokerage, if you're an independent broker, to look at this. I mean, 450, something like that, independent brokers in the last year that have moved over here. There's a reason why. Lots of reasons why.
Yeah, lots of reasons.
Yeah, you need to at least look and see why, because your agents are going to see it if you're an independent broker, and it's like, if it's a better fit for them, some of them will leave. I mean, loyalty will go a little bit, but it's not going to get them set up for the rest of their lives. Loyalty, so you got to really be open to looking at this and just seeing what's right for you and your team and your company. So,
well, if nothing else, the independent broker should look at it so they know what they're up against. In all sincerity.
For
but
sure.
Listen, Jeff, thank you so much. You're a dear friend. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate your time today. To our viewers out there, Jeff and his wife, Lane, Colorado Springs, Colorado market. Give us your cell number if anybody needs a referral partner in that market.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome.
And you to benefit from that.
Yeah, sure. So my number is 719-321-0335. My wife, Lane, her number is 719-499-9394. So yeah, feel free to give us a call. We'd love to help you out however we can. So.
Awesome. Well, again, Jeff, I appreciate your time. Jeff Morrell, I'm Tim Hollenden. We're both co-founding partners of the Freedom Team at eXp Realty, a 3,000 member organization inside eXp. Appreciate your time today, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a blessed
day. Good day.
All right, you too.